How's it going, family? The powerful I am, 50 the Mystic. As always, before we get right into it, don't forget to like and subscribe on the videos for more of this content. Today, we continue on with our journey in Matthew 6. Today, we're covering Matthew 6, verse 21. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Be very careful of what lies and what is your treasure, because that is where your own heart itself lies. You see, this is one of the most symbolically loaded statements in the entire Sermon on the Mount. In allegory, treasure represents anything you value, pursue, protect, or center your life around. Treasure symbolizes your internal compass. It is whatever you consistently return to in thought, desire, and action. Treasure can be material or spiritual, external or internal, shallow or eternal. It can be money, status, attachments, validation, or fear. It can be purpose, truth, spiritual alignment, compassion, and inner strength. The heart in biblical allegory symbolizes the core of your being. It represents your deepest desires, emotional identity, inner motivations, and spiritual condition. The heart is not just emotion, it is the seat of intention. It reveals what you truly worship, not through your words, but through your priorities. The verse reveals a spiritual principle. Your heart follows your treasure. What you value shapes who you become. Where you invest your time, attention, emotion, and energy determines the direction of your life. If a person treasures material things, their heart becomes bound to the material world itself. If they treasure ego-based identities, their heart becomes fragile, easily wounded, easily threatened. But if they value spiritual alignment and inner growth, their heart becomes anchored, steady, and elevated. Here, in its essence, Jesus is teaching that treasure acts like gravity. Wherever your treasure is, your heart gravitates there. That is where the energy from your heart will float. If your treasure sits in unstable places, your heart becomes unstable. If your treasure sits in higher realms, your heart rises with it. Think of that scripture in the book of Psalms, or not even Psalms, actually the book of Proverbs. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Powerful layered scripture in itself. It's a nice, powerful book written by James Allen on this as well, called As a Man Thinketh. This verse invites the listener to examine not what they claim to value, but what their life reveals they actually value. It is an allegory of alignment, showing that your heart cannot rise higher than the treasure you choose. Because you need to see here, it expresses a profound psychological truth about how the mind forms identity, patterns, and emotional attachments. In the architecture of the mind, treasure represents the objects or ideas that receive consistent mental attention and emotional investment. The brain is designed to strengthen whatever you focus on. When you value something, your neural pathways reorganize around that interest. This is the process behind desire, obsession, loyalty, and long-term habits. Your treasure becomes the blueprint for your own thoughts. So if you're thinking of fear all the time and things going wrong, guess what happens? Your brain focuses on things going wrong, and that's what ends up happening over and over. But if you obsess over being a success and build the long-term habits that will get you to the place of success with that level of desire, you'll have no choice but to become successful as long as you build this within yourself. The heart in psychological terms refers to the emotional center of the self, the limbic system, which houses memory, motivation, emotional response, deep desire. The verse teaches that the emotional structure of a person follows their cognitive structure. In other words, the heart follows the mind's focus. Whatever your mind labels as valuable, your emotional system begins to attach to. This creates a loop. Focus creates desire, and desire reinforces focus. If a person treasures external things such as wealth, approval, or status, the emotional system becomes tied to instability. The heart becomes reactive, anxious, or insecure because its foundation depends on factors outside of one's control. This is why emotional volatility increases when identity is rooted in external realities. But when the treasure is internal, qualities like purpose, self-discipline, spiritual growth, compassion, or wisdom, the emotional system becomes regulated. The heart becomes grounded, the brain's higher regions engage, reducing fear-based responses. Psychological resilience forms because the emotional world is anchored in something stable. This verse highlights a core neurological truth. What you value shapes your emotional world. Your mental focus determines the direction of your feelings. Your treasure becomes your inner architecture, and your heart settles where you repeatedly place your attention. Such a powerful verse in itself, because you need to understand even it reflects a universal law woven into both nature and the cosmos. Energy flows toward what you value, and your life becomes shaped by what you consistently invest in it. In cosmic terms, treasure represents your energetic focus, your priorities, your internal compass. The universe responds to the dominant vibration of your treasure. If your treasure is rooted in this material world, your energy becomes bound to cycles of loss, decay, and instability because everything physical is but a temporary thing. It does not belong to us. This aligns with the cosmic principle that attachment to impermanence creates suffering. The heart symbolizes the core frequency of your being. It is the emotional spiritual vibration that radiates from you into the world. Cosmic law teaches that the heart cannot rise above the value system of the individual. If a person treasures fleeting things, their heart remains in a low vibrational state, attached to fear, comparison, greed, or insecurity itself. But when one treasures higher realities such as truth, love, wisdom, purpose, and spiritual refinement, their heart ascends to a higher frequency. The universe aligns itself with that frequency, attracting experiences that match the internal vibration. Nature mirrors this principle. Trees grow towards sunlight, rivers flow toward the sea, seeds grow toward nourishment, life gravitates toward what sustains it. In the same way, the human heart gravitates toward what the mind labels as valuable. The law of resonance ensures that you become magnetized to what you treasure. If your treasure is rooted in the eternal, your heart becomes eternal. If your treasure is rooted in the unstable, your heart becomes unstable. Cosmic and natural law agree. Your treasure determines your direction. This verse teaches that your evolution, your experiences, and your inner peace all flow from where your value is placed. What you treasure becomes your path. It's very beautiful, very layered. Because in itself, I hope you're seeing how it is. This verse is very practical verse in itself for shaping your daily decisions, your emotional health, and your long-term direction. When Jesus says, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also," He is giving you a simple diagnostic tool for your entire life. If you ever want to know why you feel the way you feel, why you are drawn to certain things, or why certain situations affect you so deeply, examine your treasure. See where your heart lies. Look at what you consistently value, protect, and pursue. Your emotional world will always follow it. This means if your treasure is money, your heart will be anxious every single time there is no money. If your treasure is success, your heart will be restless. Because you always need to be a success to feel something about yourself. If your treasure is other people's approval, you will keep seeking more and more approval from people all the time. Post more Instagrams. Feel like you are shattering inside when you don't get the necessary likes and comments that you need to feel validated inside. Your heart will be unstable. If your treasure is status, your heart will be fragile. What if you're a director and then one day you get fired? What happens? Your heart is broken. your whole entire existence vanishes. Just because everything to you was that title. Every external treasure creates emotional vulnerability because it ties your heart to things you cannot control. But when your treasure is internal, your heart becomes stable. If you yourself treasure character, your heart becomes strong. If you treasure wisdom, your heart becomes clear. If you treasure spiritual connection, your heart becomes peaceful. If you treasure purpose, your heart becomes disciplined. If you treasure personal growth, your heart becomes grounded. Internal treasures create emotional resilience because they do not depend on circumstances. These are inherently built into you. And they can bring about all these other things just by starting and doing the inner work first. This verse calls you to manage your priorities with intention. Audit your life by asking, what do my actions reveal that I treasure? Where does my time go? Where does my energy flow to and go? What do I protect the most? Because your heart will follow these things. If you want to change your life, change what you treasure. If you want peace, anchor your value system in what is eternal, stable, and rooted in your higher self. And we'll carry on taking it a bit further, going into a very interesting verse in the next segment. Matthew 6 verse 22. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. Let's get right into it in the next segment. See how very interesting the scripture is. Until we meet again, family.